This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
So we've had a pretty intense conversation the last few days, John. You haven't been with us, Alpha and I, discussing colors. And I know what a clothes horse you are.
You mean black people?
No, no. What is your color? In other words,
well, it's your
season. You hear women say this all the time. They go, "Oh, that outfit looks so good on you. That's your color."
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that was just a bunch of horse hockey.
Well, if women say it, it usually is.
Yeah. But Alpha, he quickly jumped in and goes, no, that's the real thing. You have a season. And I go, what do you mean? He goes like, I'm a what was it? Fall, spring guy?
Well, I'm spring, fall.
He's
winter,
spring, fall.
winter,
and I
summer.
said, wait a minute, that's 2 seasons. So now I'm really confused. But I said, who comes up with this? They're just arbitrary rules. So I'll tell you what, though, Alpha, look at this. I think I'm a blue guy.
You could be. And you know what? You said on your walk this morning in the woods, you said it was all a bunch of baloney, but this maroon looks good on me. So
well, it does,
now,
but
wait a minute.
I don't know what that means. So
you
I
can't
think
have it
I'm
both ways there, buddy.
I think I'm a fall spring person. Now, John, how would you describe yourself?
I'm more of a burnt sienna. I'm
burnt sienna. What season is that, Alpha?
I think he's a rainy season, to be honest with you.
Right? Gloom and doom season. I'm a blizzard.
Yeah, it's the cloudy, rainy.
Yeah, I'm a cloud burst.
So
I want to speak to your manager. And why is that other officer standing so far away from me?
His body cam is on. He's just trying to get you in frame.
Emotional damage.
What's happening, John, down in Alabama? Any big news you need to share with us before we jump into the podcast?
Let me just tell you, it has been one of those wonderful weeks being a homeowner. I've had the AC/heating guys at my house for 3 out of the last 4 days. They got to get in the attic and they got to do duct work, and it's fantastic. I've been spending my day with a crew in the house.
I bet that's been expensive.
I've been keeping up with this Katie Porter. Have you guys talked about Katie Porter yet?
Yeah. Yes, we have talked about Katie Porter at length. We had... let's see, yesterday we had the video where she's in repair mode, where she's doing the interviews she was with the Next Star regional news people, and it was just all she could do not to lose it. But the funny thing about her is, in spite of that meltdown with that reporter that we all saw that would really kick this whole thing off, and then the subsequent video that came out, get out of my frame. In spite of that, where we all see what a bitch she is, how mean she is, she treats her staff like crap.
Right.
She still is leading in the polls in the governor's race in California.
Well, I have a theory about her.
What?
My theory is that Donald Trump is what liberals see when we see Katie Porter, because like him or hate him, and I'm a Trump fan, he has treated his staff worse than that. We've seen it on video for 5-10 years. The number one show was what was it called? The Apprentice?
What was the show? Yeah, The Apprentice, yeah.
The Apprentice, and he was always mean and rude to staff. And we do give him a pass.
That was a TV show. I think he's
he's done it in purpose and in real life. But here's the thing: if you're on his side, it don't seem like it's crazy. But if it's a liberal, you go, "Oh man, she's a total whack job."
I mean, I think there's probably something to that they probably say, I'm willing to overlook her personal faults because her views align with mine.
Right,
and
like
now,
we do with Trump. We give him a pass on a lot of his personal behavior.
Yeah, we do. But in spite of her being a bitch and being mean and treating her staff like crap, the part I can't get past is the pedophilia, where she supports MAPS, minor attractive persons. And
that is odd. That's a real strange hill to want to die on.
But more and more left-wing liberal people are coming out on that hill because they've added that letter to the LGBTQTZY list, and MAPS is going on the list too. And
unreal.
it's becoming mainstream, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
I
look
don't
how many
understand,
people have
but there-
attached their how many people have attached their wagons to the LGB uh, as it began. Then it became TIA plus. Now the plus is the MAP and those
Yeah.
who are attracted to children, and there's no place in a civilized society for that.
No, there's not. I like the old days when we just had queers. It was so much simpler. You just, he's a queer.
Jack likes
She's a
queers. He just said it right here on his podcast.
She's a queer. I long for the old days when we just had queers.
Well, now
you
can
just be
now you can
queer,
say
and
that
that's
again.
fine. We don't
All
care.
them queers hanging out in Cedartown, Georgia, growing up, Jack just loves them.
It just seems like they just kept making up new personalities and personality disorders and adding them to the list, and we'd never heard of them before.
Yeah, the
Now we got
two-spirit
people
ones.
riding pogo ponies around dressed up like horses, and we're supposed to act like that's normal behavior.
Yeah, dressing up as animals and getting surprised when the wolves want to attack you.
Exactly.
When you're hanging out with the wolves.
Just bring back the queers. Let's just go back to the queers, and everything will be fine.
Talking
just
about
too
the
much.
furry thing, do you know the first time I became aware of the furry and all that, I guess you would call it society culture, furry culture,
Yeah.
was 25 years ago on CSI. They brought up, they had a story about a furry, and that was the first I'd ever heard of it. And come to think of it, seems like they've been trying to bring that out for many years. It just takes a while for them to roll out the weirdos.
I think the furry's out there now. It's pretty mainstream. I mean, at least as far as people knowing about it, I think it's pretty mainstream.
But they've been working that in for
the
years.
umbrella of the plus part of the LGBTQIA plus things.
That falls under the plus part.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you can put anything under that umbrella.
I didn't know, and I guess right now MAPS is under that area as well. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't like.
What's wrong?
Daddy's going to do that.
What?
Daddy's going to do crack.
He what?
He's going to do crack.
Are you serious? Daddy!
so the environmental people, they're getting really, really creative. I went for a walk in the park with my pups this morning, John. And on the way back, I turned on one of the local news stations, and they were in the middle of a story. And the story came from
on your side.
Yeah, the story came from WRAL television in Raleigh, and they were talking about in Raleigh now, they're going to be running the public buses, the mass transit on shit. They've developed some sort of a system where they take the sewage and they use it to convert it into gas, and that's what the buses are going to run on.
All right.
Have any of these things like this that they come up with at these cities, these green initiatives, have any of them ever worked? No.
Well,
No.
doesn't Willie Nelson's tour bus run on French fry grease? We have this figured out. We have corn. We have alternate forms of fuel. Why are we all just married to gasoline? I want to put shit in my car.
It's I just want to take one and stick it in my tank and go. But look, they tried, for instance, here in Charlotte, they bought electric buses.
Yeah.
And they paid 2 or 3 times what a regular diesel bus cost, right? None of them are in operation. You know why? Because the company they bought them from and paid all the money to went bankrupt. It's out of business. So they can't get parts. So they're all just sitting somewhere doing nothing, and we're back to diesel buses. And then we had places where they were going to run hydrogen buses. And then they found out, well, they got to have this giant hydrogen tank, and it's extremely flammable, and it's very dangerous. Some of them blew up, and so they've stopped doing that. How much pollution are you going to eliminate by converting the few buses that a city has to an alternative fuel, instead of the cars, is all I'm saying. But
and it's an all-out effort. I don't know if you've seen this morning, the UN has announced that they want to issue a tax on carbon emissions.
Yeah,
So
good luck
the
with that.
United Nations is going to start taxing us.
Yeah, good luck with that. Getting
Yeah.
that tax out of American. You may get it out of Europeans. I don't think Americans are going to pay for that tax.
Yeah, I remember when King
mean,
George, that story about King George wanting to charge us for tea. You know what we did with that
Exactly.
tea?
Here's the thing, nobody wants to pollute the lakes and nobody wants to have
Yeah.
their garbage thrown all over the place, but there is nothing we're going to be able to do to battle climate change. I grew up in the 80s where we were bombarded with this. We're going to be out, the ice caps are going to melt by the year
Right,
2000, this, that, and the other thing. And the older I get, the more I smell bullshit with the whole thing.
I
Good.
agree. And now I see more and more interviews with scientists, and they'll give their credentials, and they're legitimate climate scientists. They're legitimate people. These aren't kooks. And they're saying that, yeah, CO2 is rising, but it's not man-made. It's coming from the Earth itself, that if you look at the glaciers that are melting, they're not melting from the top. They're melting from the bottom because the Earth itself is getting warmer.
And CO2 is not a pollutant. CO2 is absorbed by plants that give us oxygen.
Oxygen, exactly.
And there are thousands, literally thousands of scientists who are saying we are actually in a CO2 desert right now, that it is lower right now than it's been many times in our global history. And in fact, if you want to cut the carbon emissions in half, then all plant life will die. Because right now we're at about 4 parts per million. If you cut it down to 2, plant life will die. So we're
I'm
very
just
close
starting
to
to
that
think
edge
the whole-
where we're actually, by cutting carbon, we are endangering our health and the safety of the planet.
It's just a ruse. It's
It's
trying
like,
to keep us scared. It's
you know what it's
something-
like? It's like recycling. That whole thing's a scam.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Have you seen any of the where they follow the stuff that gets recycled?
Yes.
Dump
And
it
it
in the
all
same
winds
place.
up in another country just sitting there. They don't
Yeah.
do crap with it.
No, it's all
It's
a
ju-
big game.
It was just a way for cities to increase their budget, give you another can that you got to keep up with, and then they have the recycling police. They're always leaving crap on my can. A note like, one more, if we find a pizza box in your recycling can one more time, that's it. You're out. We're not going to pick it up. And you know
Well-
what I did? I just stopped recycling. I just put everything in the same can now, and I don't have any of the problems. I don't have to deal with the recycling police.
Well, Jack, when your can's overflowing with pizza boxes, I mean, come
It's
on.
not.
Right.
We have a
They're
pizza
trying,
like
basically,
once
they're
a
trying
month.
to tell you you're getting pizza tips. Cut
About
back.
once a month we have a pizza, and that's it.
Yeah.
And every time we put it in there, I'm not even the one that puts it in anyway.
Let me ask you guys a question. Jack, do you see? Okay, look, Alpha is a very successful. He's got a career going. He's on a career trajectory. His career shows no signs of slowing down.
Uh-huh.
You are still perpetually positive. You're still full of piss and vinegar. I don't know how you do it, but you're all about it. I have completely given up. I see that nothing
Nah.
is real in the world. We're all getting lied to. Everything
Look
is
at
a big
it.
ruse.
Look at Alpha.
It's a big waste of time. That's why I
Look
just
at-
try to chill out and enjoy myself and my
Yeah.
dogs, because
Look at Alpha.
Look at that
This is
handsome
his
devil.
new show that is on Hulu right now. He's starring in the Murdoch
Death in the Family.
Death in the Family, and he plays the governor of South. Look, he looks like he could be the president, doesn't he?
he's killing it. He's doing great.
Look at that. That's Gerald McRaney behind him, by the way, the famous actor.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good for you, my man. Look at
That's
you.
That's who he's main. I am John. I am perpetually positive, and I have no desire just to stop doing anything.
Yeah.
That's when you die. When you
I don't
stop.
think so. I think I've been dying since I was 16. I was one of these people who never really wanted to work.
Uh-huh.
I've never been excited about my job or my life or anything. The only thing that excites me is being alone and chilling out and having
John,
peace and quiet.
Let me ask you: have you ever
Wow.
seen a therapist? Because
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
you may have. I think you may be suffering from depression.
I'm not depressed.
And I think you
I'm
are,
just a
and you
weird-
don't know it. I think you need to go in for some therapy and possibly get on some medication. It might change your life.
Trust me,
Stop
I'm on
smoking so
medication.
damn much weed.
I'm
And
the same way I've been since I was 5 years old.
I know, and you probably should have been medicated the whole time on some Zoloft or something to improve your mood a little bit, because you're
I'm
not
not-
supposed to be this unhappy.
I'm not unhappy. I'm just a realist.
Yes, you are
No,
unhappy.
I'm not.
Alpha,
I
is he
look-
unhappy?
Well,
Yes, he's
by saying his career is at a dead end, he's not going anywhere.
Right.
That would seem to me to scream unhappy. Unless
Yeah,
No.
it would.
No,
Yeah.
no. I have had 36 years of success. I'm happy to. I just want to pay the bills now and not worry about it. It's the rat race. I don't begrudge anyone else for having ambition. I think it's great what you do, Alpha. Jack, I know you're working hard and you're still out there and active. I just don't want to be. Never really wanted to. And now I realize I don't really have any financial responsibilities. I'm a minimalist. I don't have a wife.
Hey, you have puppies to feed. You do
Yeah.
have responsibilities.
you
I
have
don't-
guys in your attic right now trying to work on your air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thrill of life. It's always something. So it's
See?
like,
there
what do
you
I want to
go.
All right. All right. Well, listen. I do have a public service thing
Excellent.
I need to do today. You know, there's a product. As a matter of fact, we got one. My daughter and my son-in-law got one, and I think I got one here at the house even. It's this thing that was advertised all over television and the internet for when somebody's choking.
Oh,
You know, they inhale a grape or get a piece of meat, and the thing's called
or pizza?
or pizza, whatever. Here's a picture of it. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of different versions of it, but basically you put that over their face and you pull back on that syringe and it sucks whatever's in their throat and dislodges it. Well,
Is that to be used only on the face, or does it?
yeah,
have other
only on
use?
the face.
Okay.
Only on the face, John. Now we find out this thing was never FDA approved. And the government is recommending not use it, continue using the Heimlich maneuver. And so I'm wondering, all those, testimonials you saw, because whenever you saw the commercial, it would be some guy goes, yeah, I was blue. I was turning blue. I inhaled a field pea. It got hung up in my throat, and Ethel came running in with the de-choker and popped it on there, and it flew right out, and I'm alive today. Thank you, de-choker. Were all those people fake?
well,
Most people are.
is the FDA approval really that necessary? The
Well, I don't
question you should
know, but-
ask is, does it work?
But back to John's thing about it, it's all a big scheme, a big Ponzi scheme. Everything's
How's that
fake.
I was at a Mexican restaurant one time eating with my buddy Nick. I'll never forget it. And I started choking on something, and panic immediately set
Oh, yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've had it
and
happen.
I started doing this, and he said, "Are you choking?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I did.
You
I
can't
was
talk.
embarrassed.
You can't talk because you're choking.
I didn't want to jump up and everything. And about that time, I was able to swallow whatever it was.
Mhm.
But for like years,
So was it a cigarette?
no, it was a piece of steak or something from a gordita,
Fajita
whatever.
or fajita or something. Yeah.
But he was ready to do the Heimlich, and he was like my hero for like
Yeah.
years. I'm like, man, he was
I've
gonna save
always,
me.
I know the Heimlich very well, and I'm always looking for an opportunity to put it into action. I
Even
know
when somebody's not choking.
well, I'm
Yeah,
just
he's-
always watching.
he's on the hunt.
I know
Here, have some
CPR.
popcorn and an
Hey,
M&M.
I know CPR and the Heimlich maneuver, and I've known them most of my adult life, and I've never had to put my skills to use. Thank goodness, but I'm ready at all times.
I'm
to
sure
administer.
if you keep asking random people, hey, you mind if I give you the Heimlich? Somebody
Yeah,
will say,
well,
yeah.
I see people at restaurants, and they're kind of turning red, and I have before. I go, hey, you're not choking, are you? And
He's
they'll go,
ready.
No, I go, okay, well, just
He's got
one of
his
the-
shirt. He's ready to open up. It says H.
yeah.
Heimlich man.
I'm the H man. I'm here to give you Heimlich maneuver.
It's Heimlich maneuver, but MAN is in all caps. Heimlich maneuver.
Exactly.
My mom got pregnant with me, and I was so tiny. She went to the hospital and take me out, and from her ass.
You did not come out of my ass. No.
Yes, I did.
Well, I finally saw, we've been talking about Katie Porter and her meltdown.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi, she
boy.
had a great one. Did you see this video where she tells the reporter to shut up?
Uh-oh.
I mean, they're getting I've seen her like 3 or 4 times now where she's on CNN. That's her territory, and she'll go, "Why are you asking such a dumb question? We ought to be focusing on what Trump's doing."
Yeah.
When they ask her a question. So her and Schumer have lost control of the party and the media.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it now. Watch her snap at this reporter who's asking her about January 6th. Why is there no sound? We don't have any sound.
Hey, Jack, why is there no sound?
I don't know.
Is it broke? Can you fix it?
I listened to it earlier, and I had plenty of sound.
Fix it. I can't hear the
anyway,
sound.
right here. You see that? That's her saying, "Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be asking those questions. Shut up. Shut
Her
up."
face always looks like that no matter what she says. It's kind of hard to tell.
I'm sorry there was no sound, but you could read her lips. I mean, it was really ugly. She told this reporter to shut up.
Yeah, the question that drove her to that was, why did you deny access to
National Guard
the
on
National Guard
on January 6th.
And that's she turned around and shut up. And
her own daughter did her own daughter did a documentary.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Where they're in the car and she says that it was her responsibility to bring them in, and she didn't. And now she acts like it was Trump denying. Trump actually offered the National Guard to them, and they turned him down.
Well, the guy who was the chief of the Capitol Police, who was either fired or has retired, he came out with a list of all the receipts of when he requested the Sergeant of Arms to call the National Guard, which the Sergeant of Arms answers directly to Nancy Pelosi, and all the times it was rejected, all the way up to the time it was approved, which was after 2 p.m. on the day when everything had already exploded.
It already happened, yeah.
I'm not saying all Muslims are terrorists. Don't misquote me here. But isn't it funny how all terrorists are fucking Muslims?
Now, Alpha, I know you're very concerned about this, as I am. John, I don't know if you're as concerned, but we're very concerned about Islamic values and everything that comes with it creeping into our society, because we've seen what happens. They come in, they multiply like, I won't say rats, but they multiply very quickly.
Rabbits.
And that's how they take over. They suddenly you have more Muslims than you do Christians or Hindus or whatever, and suddenly they're running the country. And the way they operate, they come in and it's always, "Oh, you're discriminating against us," and that they play that card, the racism card, to get the call to prayer being played, the way it is in Minnesota and Michigan right now. But check out what's happening right now in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, France, the UK. They just lay down and take it. Listen to what this guy says happened. He got a letter from his child's elementary school. Listen to this.
Imagine receiving an email from your kid's school teacher asking you not to pack pork in their lunches anymore because it has become offensive to some of the children who are in the class. Some parents are writing emails to the teachers saying that there are Canadian kids showing up with bacon and ham in their sandwiches, and that's offensive to their religion. Just imagine that for a second. It's a school, not a refugee camp.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I believe the video.
You guys can get on it.
People like to bullshit a lot. I don't know if I believe that video. Seems kind of staged, but I could see that happening.
I could see it happening in Canada. I could see a teacher sending that home, caving into that. I'd send a BLT back the next day.
20 years after World War II, by the 1960s, we were cool with Japan. We accepted their cars and their electronics, and they, in turn, didn't give us we got along. We coexisted. Here we are 25 years after 9/11, basically a war with Muslims, and they have not assimilated into our society.
They don't assimilate anywhere. They don't assimilate anywhere.
Plus, what galls me is you see, they will stop in the middle of the street and lay out their prayer mats and have prayer in the middle of a busy city street when there's a mosque over there and there's mosque everywhere else.
Right.
They don't have to do that. The reason they're doing it is a power play, is to show their own dominance. And so, yeah, if you want to come here, as you said, assimilate, be part of our American culture, fine. But
if you're coming to create Sharia law and convert everybody or kill everybody that's not a Muslim, I say to hell with you.
Well, New York's going to have a Muslim mayor.
Yeah, that's going to be a mess, too. It's going to wind up being just like London before. So not only that, Alf and I have talked about this before. What you have going on right now, you have communists and Islamists working together to destroy the country from within. And then once they have, they'll fight each other for control of the pieces that are left. That's what they're doing. That's what's happening.
Plus, they're bringing in the LGBTQI plus people.
Yeah, because
they support the Islamic cause when they don't want them as a part of their cause. In fact,
they don't.
Once they do,
they'll be the first to go.
Once they get the power they want, then all the useful idiots, they'll be thrown off the roof.
Yeah.
I call this the happiest trail.
Well, tell me what you think about John Boy and Billy.
Well, John Boy and Billy are a little bit older than me, and they've had a tremendously... You okay, Alpha?
Yeah, I've got a little tickle in my throat.
We need Heimlich, man.
That's smoke.
Quick.
If I need to come to your house and Heimlich you, I will.
Hurry.
I've got a mobile Heimlich truck that can leave and be there within a few hours.
He'll be glad to do it even if you're not choking.
I think they're both rich. They've had a really long run, and I think what's happened is, they lost their station here in Charlotte, which has always been their base.
Yeah,
and I think they're still on 37 stations, and I think the money was okay, but now that they're not on in Charlotte where they live, I think it just doesn't mean as much to them. And I don't know about Billy, but I know John Boy owns like a car dealership, and I think they're both very wealthy. They've got money, so they don't need to work, and it's not fun anymore. And so they decided to stop. I think they're going to do some stuff online. They might do a podcast.
Are you going to ever try to apply to get a job in Charlotte? There's,
No.
Now could be a resurgence.
No, I have no desire to do radio again.
Although
I have an idea in my head, which came to me a couple of days ago. I have a very interesting idea for a new type of radio format.
What is it?
Are you at liberty to share that now,
or is that share it
it's
until
a secret?
I talk
but trust me, fellas, it's a good one. Everybody's gonna know it.
Well, I don't know if it is or not. I actually have a couple of friends that I do voiceover work for that are consultants. I'm going to ask them what they think about it. I'm sure one of them will steal it and make it
consultants.
Really nice.
Come on.
I just think it's okay. I'll go ahead and tell you.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Here's the deal. If you look at the radio dial, just take Charlotte as a microcosm of the whole country. In Charlotte, you have all the men are listening to basically eliminate the minorities. Okay, because they're listening to the black stations. So take them out of the picture. But if you're just looking at men and women, Caucasian men and women.
Did you just say eliminate the minorities?
Yes, I did. From the programming equation.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So all the men are listening to two stations. They're listening to the sports talk station and the rock station.
Okay.
That John Boy and Billy were on, and it's starting to wane a little bit. And some are listening to the news. The olders are skewing to the news talk station. Now, if you look at the women, the Caucasian women, That's fragmented all to hell and back.
Right.
You got 1 million stations they're listening to. Here's what I think we should do.
All right.
There ought to be a country station devoted just to men. In other words, have a morning guy on there and a really strong sports guy with him. So you
not
talk
a girl, not some dumb girl named
No,
Katie,
not a
who's
chick.
just-
I'm talking about a sports guy, Big Al with sport. And you talk about your local sports scene and national sports scene, and you mix that in with guy talk. You talk about how your wife's not giving you any, and your man cave and your truck. You talk about guy stuff. That's all you do, and play country music with it. Maybe a little edgier country music, but forget about trying to attract the men and the women. Just go after the men the way a rock station would, but with country.
I would say that all of that is correct, but the most important thing, it would have to be locally based and locally focused. You would have to find a way to talk
totally.
about-
Like here, you'd talk about the Panthers and the Hornets sucking and
and
NASCAR.
your wife's not giving you any, but you would have to focus locally first, because everything else can be heard anywhere. I think it's got to be hyper local.
But I don't remember anybody ever doing that, and I don't think anybody's doing it now, where you just had a really male-oriented, edgy kind of a morning show and be edgy the rest of the day with country music.
What would you call that format?
Haggard.
I actually had a couple of names here.
Oh?
Man Cave Country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about that one, but let me see here.
I'm always partial to just call letters. 95 KTTS.
Yeah, you could, Buckle Up Radio. You can't use this one, be good. Whiskey River would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Broken Bottle, but just the frequency or whatever. But you do need a brand name for it. But anyway, that's the idea.
I would say that any variation of just local talk is the future for radio. A daily podcast is the only way you're going to be able to. I don't know why people think you're still going to be able to win by playing music. We've got the best new music off compact disc. That's so over. Radio needs to be more.
You got to have, if you're going to play music, you can't have too much of it, and you got to have some good content around it. Anyway, so we have covered the ongoing saga with Mark Moran, the comedian and ex-podcast host, and his battle with Joe Rogan. And I hadn't heard Joe Rogan say anything in response to Mark Moran until yesterday when I saw this.
Mark Maron?
Mark Maron, yeah. Watch this video.
We're still doing that shit.
Of course.
Comics.
Mark Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
also he's pathologically jealous. Like he's like literally mentally ill. Like, do you understand? Mark, when he first started, when he was just first coming up, was friends with Mitch Hedberg, and then Mitch Hedberg hit, and he couldn't be friends with him anymore.
Really?
Yep. Stop being his friend. Same thing with Louis C.K. Louis C.K. and him were tight. Louis blew up. Mark didn't. He had to fucking hate him, and he turned on him. Talked shit about him openly. And then
anyway, he goes on and on and on about this, and he just, whenever I see him, he just comes off as one of those, I'm smarter than you, I know more than you do, I'm the only one who can tell you how you should do comedy or a podcast. He just hits me wrong. Does he Mark hit you wrong like that?
I don't even know that I've ever watched him.
Well, he's an interesting guy. He's a funny guy, but he's gotten very opinionated and dickish over the last few years.
Yeah,
and
he's doing more and more acting. But he had an early successful podcast that he did out of his garage, and it was audio only. And I saw him do an interview on he was on Bobby Lee's podcast. He went on for 30 minutes about how horrible they've ruined podcasting because now everybody's doing it and they're adding video, and that ruins the spirit of podcasting. It's an audio art. And I thought, who the hell are you to tell people what they can and can't do on a pod. Just do your own pod. But you
I think
did.
we can all agree if you combine opinionated with dickishness, you've got a losing combination there.
And in this interview, they asked him, but you could just tell he hated Joe Rogan and how jealous he was of his success. And just be happy for other people.
Yeah,
when they're
I don't
successful.
understand jealousy. Jack, if you got a job making $2 million a year and I was never going to get anything off of it, you will never be able to hire me. I was not going to benefit financially. I would be thrilled for you. I would never be jealous.
I've never been that way about other people, unless they were backstabbers. If there were backstabbers, I would get a little bothered by it. But other than that, I love to see people successful and make money.
Jealousy is just not an emotion that I have ever really had a problem with. Anger, sadness,
sitting in your room alone.
Yeah.
Again, I
jealousy.
think medication may be in order for you. I really do.
Hey,
he
that
goes
sounds
outside
good.
in
You
the
got some?
sunshine. I'm so jealous of him.
Tyler, it is good to see you, my brother.
There is a new movie, which it may be out now, coming out now. It's got a bunch of big stars in it. You may have seen the previews to it, but it's about nuclear war. And I don't know a lot about the movie other than the preview, but I'm going to tell you, I used to always think this guy was so cool, that his voice was so cool. Carl Sagan, the cosmologist.
Billions and billions.
He had, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's the same way. He's your personal physicist, but he's got a great voice, and when he narrates, it's really good. I mean, he could make a living as a narrator. But they're using Carl Sagan's voice in the trailer for this movie. Listen to how good this guy was.
Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. In our obscurity, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere.
Just had such a great voice. I mean, he's just so good. He really was.
I think you have a great voice, Jackson.
Hey, nothing like that guy, I'll tell you that.
A little bit of that Morgan Freeman quality to it.
Yeah. I used to love it when he would go on Johnny Carson. Do you remember that?
Who?
Carl Sagan.
Carl
He would go on.
Yeah.
He's responsible for Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
And I'm not a huge fan of his because I think he's a pompous ass. But
he knows everything, though. He'll tell you. He knows everything.
He knows everything.
Nothing.
He wrote a letter to Carl Sagan when he was a little boy, and Carl Sagan invited him to come to Cornell and sent him a bus ticket, and he went to Cornell and visited and spent the night at his house and went back. And it sounds a little creepy, but it wasn't. He was married and everything, but it got him really into science.
I went from creepy to kinky.
He attributes his interest in the sciences to Carl Sagan.
People get arrested for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween is almost here. I want to ask you, what's your go-to horror movie, John? Do you have a favorite horror movie that you like?
I don't really watch a lot of horror movies. I like to watch the making of them or reviews of them or behind the scenes of them. And every year around this time, there's all kind of Halloween and Halloween 2 YouTube videos, and I love watching those and getting trivia about them. I can't sit through the movies again because I've seen them so many times.
Motel Hell.
Motel Hell? I'm not
Motel
sure
Hell.
I've seen that one.
Haven't you seen it? It really, it's one of the cheesiest. It's this hotel where people go check in and they love the food, and it turns out that some of the guests they kidnap and they bury them up to their neck and feed them, fatten them up, and then feed them. And the punchline of the whole movie is when they catch the guy, when they pin the guy down who was running the hotel and feeding them people, he says, "I've got a confession to make. I use preservatives."
I'll tell you, there are two horror movies that really stick in my mind. One, when I was a kid, I had three older sisters, but two of them were still at home, And when they started dating, they used to have to take me with them on their dates sometimes when my parents were working at our restaurant. So
I bet they were overjoyed at doing
well,
that.
they handled it very well. Let me tell you how they handled it. Right up the road from Cedartown, almost to Rome, there was a drive-in theater called the Cedar Valley Drive-In. And so they would double date with another couple. And when they got there, they would put me in one car and they would all get in another car and they would give me 2 beers and a pack of cigarettes. The boys would. And so I was like, I'm drinking my 2 beers and smoking the cigarette. And there was a playground on the grounds of the drive-thru. So it was great for me.
How old were you? 6?
Yeah.
I was like 8 or 9. I'm not kidding. This really happened. So I'll never forget, though, one time we went near Halloween, and there was this movie, I guess they would be called a grindhouse movie. And this movie was kind of like yours, the one you're talking about, where the guy was killing people, grinding them up, and serving them in the restaurant. And it was very graphic, and I have memories of that haunt me. And so that one, but the other, the most terrified I've ever been in a movie was in about 1979 or 80. I went and saw Friday the 13th at the Savannah Theater in Savannah with these 2 women that I worked with, these 2 young girls. And they sat on each side of me, and they literally ripped my arms open with their fingernails. We got so scared. That movie was terrifying. Remember the original Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have a memory of going to see my dad. I saw my dad every other weekend. And so we would just sit around and watch TV. Do you remember that movie from the 70s? But those people go to an island and there's giant rats on it. And the giant rats are eating the people.
No.
You don't remember the giant
remember
rats
that
movie? It's like a B movie. And they would show it on Saturday afternoons.
No, I don't remember that. Was it a TV series or a movie?
It was a movie. It was a badly done B movie. But
and he would make you watch that every Saturday you came to visit him?
No, but there's another one about gigantic frogs on an island that were eating people. Do you remember that one?
No, but it sounds like your father needs some guidance. That could be something that's led to your depression.
I'm not depressed. I'm happy.
The giant rats and the giant frogs, that could have something to do with it.
That makes everyone happy. Doesn't giant rats make you happy?
I think medication could help you get over these giant rats.
Great. You got some? You sharing?
So they have a list here of the top horror movies of all time.
Okay.
And I got to be honest with you, I'm not real excited about the list. From 2014, Only Lovers Left Alive. I never saw it.
Never saw that.
Number 9 is Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. That was pretty good
weird.
one.
And that made girls all hot because they like the wolf doing it with the girl. Remember that? All women got hot from that weird animal bestiality. That was terrible.
I'll dig that out and take a look at it, though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Number 8, Blade 2.
Yeah, never seen it.
7, Near Dark. Never saw it. That's
Never
from
heard of it.
87. Sinners from 2025. Never saw it.
Know it? Never seen it, but I've done it enough.
Alpha, how do you pronounce this? Nosferatu?
Nosferatu.
What?
Nosferatu.
Okay, Nosferatu the Vampire, 1970.
Nosferatu.
What he said, the Vampire, 1979. Number
Alpha,
4.
Alpha is like our very own Neil deGrasse Tyson. We don't know if he's telling the truth or not. He sounds like he is, but how would we ever know?
He's an actor, so he
now
must
the
know.
original of that one that was done in
1922, because that's number 1 on the list.
There you go.
Number 4, Dracula from 31. And then they include the Spanish version, same movie. Number 2. Now, let me tell you something. If you've never seen this movie, there's a couple of versions of this movie out there. I've seen them both, and it is scary as hell.
Jaws 4.
No, it's called Let the Right One In. Have you ever seen it?
No.
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, look it up on Netflix or whatever. There's 2 versions. It's kind of like, you remember that movie, that Skarsgård guy, the actor, the young guy, his dad's a famous actor, you know? And then he did a movie where his son OD'd and he was the snowplow driver and he wound up killing all the drug dealers. And then they redid that movie with Liam Neeson, where Liam Neeson was the snowplow driver and his son, you remember that?
No.
I didn't see that movie.
Well, both of them are really good.
It sounds very depressing, and I'm depressed enough.
And that's all he needs is something more depressing.
Let the Right One In is very similar. The original one was made in like Sweden or somewhere, and then they did an Americanized version. Really scary movie, though.
Well, I got a preview of the new Frankenstein movie last night.
There's a new Frankenstein movie?
Yes, by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, yeah, I have heard about this.
Yeah. It's the most I've ever had to extend my willingness to disbelieve, because Frankenstein turns on Victor, his creator, and chases him all the way to the North Pole. So that's where the movie starts, at the North Pole, and then they go back and tell the whole story of how he created him, how he turned on him, how he's chased him all over the world, and then wound up in the North Pole. And then,
so you're not a fan of the new
Frankenstein
movie?
It's going to be on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie, so it'll be out in December. You can check it for yourself. It's 2.5 hours long, and I found it beautiful. I mean, it uses a lot of CGI, which Guillermo del Toro normally doesn't do, but there's a lot of that in there, and it's beautifully done, but it's just a little tedious.
All right, on your recommendation, I'll pass on that movie.
Hello, everyone.
John, bad news for you today. I know you
All right.
spent a great deal of your radio career in the country genre, but another member of the band Perry is leaving.
I heard this, and it's not even the band Perry at this point. It's Kimberly and her husband. It was Kimberly and her two brothers who were the band Perry originally. I have a picture of them on my Facebook.
Oh, well, now what happened? They just can't get along anymore? What's the deal? Or they're just not popular anymore? What's going on?
No, they had it go in 2010. They had like one of the top songs of the year, and they had hits through about 2014.
Did they do that pontoon boat song?
No, they did You Lie Like a Penny in the Parking Lot. They did If I Die Young.
Oh, I remember that one.
And they did
I Die Young. Yeah,
You Better Dig Too. Trust me, they had a lot of hits.
You Better Dig Too. I remember that one.
They're very popular and got a lot of hits. So what do? They decide to leave country and go EDM, European dance music.
Okay.
So they tried that for about 5 years. Then they go back to being country band.
And it's too late.
And it's too late. And now she's trying to resurrect the band Perry Magic, and it's just not going to be resurrected.
Who is this pretty young white girl that I'm seeing all over social media now that has this song about she thought she could take him back to Texas and his ex was there? Who is that? She's really hot all of a sudden. Really
Sounds like
pretty.
every country song ever.
She's really pretty. It's a great song, too. Something about going back to Texas.
Would you play it on Buckle Up Country?
Well, I probably would, while talking about not getting any and lots of sports.
And beer.
That's what we'd be talking about.
So let me get this straight. You telling me you can't eat your food unless you standing on the carpet?
Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. Some of them hardwood floors. I'll be back. I'm going for seconds.
That's a damn shame.
All right, finally, to end the podcast today, I read this list of nasty things. Things that if you see, like if you're eating it, it turns you off or you never want to see that in your house or anything. What is something gross that you see at like a restaurant or whatever? I'll tell you what, for me, it is. It's those sticky-ass ketchup bottles that are always on the tape that you stick your hand up there and your hand kind of
I use a
sticks to 'em
napkin
and
before I touch anything. Salt and pepper shakers, ketchup bottles, everything. I use a napkin.
that's another sign of needing to see a therapist. But anyway,
I just don't want dirty fingers because you know what? I know where my hands have been.
Yeah,
and
but
it ain't
yet-
pretty.
you take that sticky bottle and you take the lid off of it, and it's got all that nasty, crusty ketchup. But then I don't even want the ketchup anymore.
No, because people have been touching it and greasy and dirty, and then they touch their ears and their face and their nose.
Yeah.
Then they touch the bottle. Then you touch the bottle. Then you touch your French fries and you eat them, and you basically just eaten their bodily. It's nasty. Tell me I'm wrong, Alpha. Tell me I'm wrong.
You might as well lick the table. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
you might as well. Here's another one. I never got this all together. Now, I haven't been in a long time, but I used to enjoy occasionally. We'd go bowling. You like to bowl, Alpha?
I haven't been bowling in a long time, but I
haven't probably been in 15, 20 years. But here's the thing. I never got why people wanted to eat while they're bowling.
And they're sticking their
Everybody's
fingers in
sticking
those
their
holes.
fingers in those balls, and then so they're pulling out millions of germs, and you're wearing shoes that a million people have worn.
Well,
So
Jack, it sounds like you're depressed. Maybe you need to get some medication.
My feet feel icky. My hand feels icky, and somebody says, "Here, have this hamburger." No, thank you.
And you're on a date, so you're trying to get lucky. Later, you got dirty fingers.
I wait till I get home. I don't want to eat at the bowling alley. Plus, the kitchen looks like a cesspool at the bowling alley.
Yeah, the guy's making your hamburgers, the same guy selling you shoes.
Yeah.
But he sprays the shoes, though.
And then, the other thing that's gotten really, really big, and I saw this was actually on the news, where they had a scientist, some local news story, they had a scientist come and take a phone from this guy.
Yeah.
And he said, "Where all do you use your phone?" He goes, "Everywhere." He goes, "Do you use it when you're in the bathroom?" And he goes, "Oh." He said, "I wouldn't go to the bathroom without it." And he takes a swab and they test it and everything. Phone is just covered in fecal matter, fecal bacteria.
More
E.
than a
coli.
toilet seat.
Yeah, E. coli and all kind of stuff. And
they can actually tell with their vision. They could just look at it and see that's how bad his phone was.
Everybody's phone, apparently. Now, how do you clean it? Just alcohol or something?
Sanitary
Windex.
wipes, man.
Will Windex kill germs, John?
No.
Yeah, because it's got ammonia.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I use.
Same way when you're in a hotel and the TV remote. Same thing. Got to wipe that sucker down.
That's true.
I used to travel with a can of Lysol.
Yeah.
And I would spray everything in the motel room before.
Is that when you first got depressed?
Yeah, that's about when it first started.
It was sniffing
Maybe
all
you
those
should get some
fumes.
medication.
I opened my suitcase and there was the bottle of Lysol staring back at me, and I went, "Is this what it's come to, really?"
It's a lonely existence.
Let me see here. What else is on here? The ketchup one is the worst one for me, though.
Salt and pepper shakers.
Oh, here's another one. And unless it's pouring down rain and I have to, I don't go to the gym. But those mats at the gym.
Yeah. They're all sweaty.
The gym mat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only they all have dried sweat all up, but they have 1 million people sweat on them. And the machines themselves and the dumbbells, they don't ever clean those things.
Now, and you got to keep, your hands washed. And when I come home, I immediately take my gym clothes off before I sit on any of my furniture. But it's all in my car. You know?
It's terrible. Terrible.
Now you know why I'm depressed.
Well, anyway, John, I'm going to send you some links to some therapists. Hopefully you'll contact some of them and get some medication.
And I'm going to send you a link to the picture of me and the band Perry.
Okay. I'd like that.
Right.
I'll post it on my Facebook page if you do that.
Send it to
All
you.
right. So we're out of time. Thank you for checking out the Jack Murphy podcast. If you haven't,
welcome.
go ahead and subscribe and like this video. And we'll be back tomorrow on Funtime Friday with a brand new edition. And the superstar will not be here tomorrow. Alpha has a acting class tomorrow where he teaches young thespians.
So tune in tomorrow for Buckle Up Country, with Jack Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Man Cave Country.
Anyway, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops, and tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.